How many of you have ever been struck by how it's possible that you could have been as sure as you were about something and been so unbelievably wrong? Just once? I just wanted to make sure. Probably just twice. Almost every day. Now, the fact that it doesn't occur to a human being that that happens almost every day itself is a phenomena that we want to understand. Because what good is it to believe that I could have been like that, done that, said those things, run off the way I did, and not remember that I did it the next time it comes up? Because it's quite clear when I do something I can't believe that I just did, that it wasn't I who just did it, but something in me that I don't understand at all. And it wouldn't be so bad if I just didn't understand it, but it runs me. There is no moment in which, under certain circumstances, I can't be made to jump through a hoop like a lion being chased by a tamer with a whip. Now, I can explain and blame, and I can do all the rest of that nonsense that human beings do as a pastime to prove that they're different than their nature. But perhaps you and I, we want something other than that. And that's where we come to true teachings. And they've always been about the same thing, whether they're Western or Eastern, and that is about an individual moving through the kingdoms, the many mansions of his Father's kingdom, in one respect, in the West, to begin to recognize that within me live a host of characters, creatures that have their own niche, their own ecology, that have their own relationships, and that of which I know absolutely nothing about, save for regretting when they have spoken for me or bit somebody, depending. And so if that happens to a man or a woman and they want to start to be different, not just to go to church someplace and praise God and get emotional, but recognizing that just praising God without changing the nature that forgets God when things go bad doesn't prove anything. And then it begins a journey, part of which is why I'm setting the context as I am. Carl Jung, he said in so many words, and I'm going to paraphrase it, that there is no coming to consciousness without pain. There is no coming to consciousness without pain. That immediately eliminates 95% of the population. But not because 95% of the population are bad, but because 95% of the population out there and 95% of the population in us has been taught that no disturbance is to be tolerated that can't be explained away or brought under control by another set of circumstances that I can create. So that a human being living like that never understands that one can never become enlightened by imagining figures of light. One can never know what it means to be a true human being until they understand that the darkness in them must be made conscious. We're so far fallen that we can't even understand a phrase like that, honestly. What does it mean? The darkness in myself must be made conscious. You see, you have some experience. There's just nothing to weave it together for you yet so that you can understand it. How many of you have ever found yourself at some point meeting a part of yourself that was leading you around by the nose that you didn't know was doing that because you believed it served you to enable that person? You believed it served you to defend yourself. You believed it served you to have enemies, because that's how you could live with the resentment that wrecks your life. I believe that that's natural and necessary. And then one day, by the grace of a light that is part of that consciousness, but that consciousness doesn't know itself, you see something. Amazing grace. Suddenly, I was blind, but now I see. That's an actual description of, and for instance, is Paul on the road to Damascus. What could be a more illustrious explanation of a man completely blind, and then suddenly he sees. Only he sees what we're working to see. We begin by seeing, I'm blind. But I don't know I'm blind because I walk around thinking I see. And then when I run into something that proves I'm blind, then I see the explanations for what I've run into, and still I see again. Until one day I see I don't. May God hasten the day. And that day where you begin to enter into the dark night of the soul is the day in which you begin to pay with pain, conscious pain, for your unconscious state, which is what Jung meant. No coming to consciousness, no coming into the kingdom of heaven without sacrifice.